Like one of the big things in our marriage was me working through pornography. Because even though I was done, I wasn't done. And so like I had to work through that healing of like betrayal towards her and like actually seek healing. And I remember one day she looked at me and it was like, this is it. Like she looked at me, she said, if this doesn't get changed, we're done. And I'm like, whoa, that's a big thing. And she said this phrase to me, and I will never forget it. She goes, you love porn more than you love Jesus.
That's a strong statement.
And I was like, you're full of it. That's how I thought. I was like, you're full of it. But as I thought about it, I was like, if I'm going to be real with myself, she's right. I do. I don't want to give this up. I like it. Like that, and that's hard to say that out loud because like you're taught in Christianity to hate that so much. But at the same time, I wasn't fooling myself when Jesus met me. I mean, I was in my mess and accepting it. I mean, but yet somehow when I became a Christian, it's like I stopped accepting my mess and acting like it wasn't there. But it was like she said that and I was like, oh, it's game time. Because like, if that's getting in the way of my love for Jesus, then I'm doing it wrong. Yes. And I remember, if I may, just a quick detour, because I think this affects so many people, is pornography has just got such a grip. And I get it. Like, I really get it. Like, it's a grip, bro. Like, it's... And oftentimes porn is rooted in some other wounding. Almost like 99.999% of the time. There is some other wounding that you are trying to medicate for. So for me... And I'll get there for a second. But what happened was I had been looking for how to get free, and I came across John Bevere, and John was sharing his testimony about how he got free. And what stood out to me about it, John had two scenarios that he shares. Well, the first one was he went to somebody to lay hands on him, and he said, "I believe biblically, if you lay hands on me, I'll be delivered." And this very prominent international preacher said, okay, and laid hands on him, and nothing changed. 7 months later, John goes up into the mountains and takes out a cabin and stays there for 4 days fasting and gets free. And so John's like, God, why did that work? But the other thing didn't work. They're both biblical. Why did one work and the other? He said, when you came to the preacher to get set free, you wanted to be free so that you didn't lose your ministry and you didn't lose your wife. It was for selfish motivation. He said, when you went to the cabin, you did it for me. You did it because you love me, John. And I heard that and I was like, I have to be okay with the fact that I could still lose my wife at the end of this. I have to be okay with it. I have to be okay with the fact that I'm not doing this for her. I'm not doing this for my kids. I'm not doing this for anybody else. I love Jesus, and it's getting in the way of intimacy with him, and it's harming that connection. And so I literally got down on my knees in my living room, and I said, I'm not leaving this floor until you set me free from this. And I meant it. I meant it. Like, I wasn't kidding. But the motivation behind it wasn't to keep everything. It was to let go and to die. And I said, I'm not leaving this floor. I'll stay here all night. I don't care. And I prayed and nothing was really happening. I'm not leaving. I don't care if it's days of me having to stay like this. I will do it. I will not eat. I will not drink. I will just stay here. And dude, all of a sudden the presence of God shows up in my living room. And it was really intense because I saw from the time that I was praying all the way to my past, all of the women I had lusted after, all of the women I had seen in pornography, all the women that I had used for my own gratification, and I saw all of them. I mean, it was like the weight of the world on my shoulders, and I was like crumbling underneath this and just hitting the floor, just weeping, like feeling the weight of my sin. And all of a sudden it just stops. And I'm, again, 6, 7 years old. And I can feel what I was feeling as a kid. And I could feel the desire to be held by my mom. That I just wanted her affection. just hold me, Mom. Like, just love me. And part of my story is that my mom, when I was very young, was very hard. And she was the disciplinarian. And when, and again, without going into like crazy amounts of detail, it was like she was very harsh with how she punished, very harsh. And so the person that was supposed to comfort me and hold me and love me was abusing me in some ways. And so it split my brain as a kid. And I'm longing for this desire to be fulfilled through my mom. And it's not being fulfilled. And so I make an agreement in that moment. I'm going to find it elsewhere. And so I go and I find it in porn. Even just the slightest feeling of being wanted and the affection and being loved. I felt it and I said, well, I'm going to keep doing this. And I saw that and I heard the Lord say, he said, you have to forgive your mom. Now, up until this point, I had no beef with my mom. So I was like, I don't know what you're talking about. That's the first thought. That's the conscious thought. But then the unconscious thought kicked out of my mouth and I said, no. I was like, what is going on? And I'm sitting there and I realized I don't want to forgive her. She hurt me. And I was like, that's it. That's the root. That's the root issue. This is where all of the rot is coming from. And it was in that moment that I was like, I cried out. I said, God, I forgive my mom. I let her go. I relinquish her to you, Jesus. I don't hold on to this. This isn't mine anymore. And dude, I got up and I felt like I'd been hit by a train. But I knew something had shifted in my heart.